Bow, hey internets. I know that it takes a lot of resource, energy from you to launch a clothing line. So if you have launched a clothing line and you're stuck, or you're in analysis paralysis in the beginning, or you're just doing some light research and came across this video where a lot of it can seem overwhelming, this is a video you need to watch. Hey, my name is Jon Phenom. If you're new here, I am the clothing brand mentor. I've been working professionally in fashion since 2000. That is a very long time. I made my way up from an apparel designer to a senior designer and then creative director. The last company I worked for in-house, I was actually serving as the president. My title was brand director of like a $4 million company, which is not that big, but every single aspect of creating a clothing brand, all the way from like boots in the ground in China, Vietnam, Hong Kong, Philippines, all for doing mass production, have been a part of my repertoire and resume in the past. And here on YouTube, I've been on YouTube over 10 years, helping you guys with best practice. So let's talk a little bit about mental health. I think is the greater category that this is touching on, and it's important for me. And so, as many of you know that are subscribers of this channel, and I hope at the end of this, if you're new, that you would think about it, or at least give it a like. You know that I launched my clothing brand NONBETA at the beginning of 2023, although technically I started in 22, so I always say established in 2022. And there's a couple reasons that I did that. I think the next level on my channel is showing you guys me in the process of doing it. So if you follow me on my social media, and if you follow NONBETA as well, you'll see what the end result of some of the behind the scenes work, what it actually looks like online. And so I mentioned that to say I am really facing the pressures of doing it, okay? And so a part of this is emotional as well, in the fact that my dad passed away not that long ago, and part of that really kind of pushed me to do this, because I was on the fence about launching a brand. I feel like I had achieved everything that I wanted to, but in my 20s, my whole energy was launching a brand. And if you know my history, I did launch a brand and it failed. And so so that emotional distress and that kind of anguish and going through that and still coming back and becoming a creative director and being a good leader in other people's brands definitely helped forge my career and helped me give you guys better advice as well. So now, the second time around of dropping my own brand, I can feel the type of pressures that you guys feel now, even though financially I'm in a pretty decent place because I have a huge love for real estate, which is a whole nother YouTube channel. But I always knew I wouldn't retire with fashion and it would be real estate. But I still feel the pressures. If some of it is not financial, I do feel the pressures of launching a brand. So here's what I would say. If you're overwhelmed with everything that you have to do, there's basically, what I'm gonna tell you is to slow down. And that sounds very, very simple. That sounds like a no-brainer. But let me give you some real detail. This is actual advice I gave in a consulting session literally last week, because the owner, she was basically at a point where she was stuck. So she had dropped her first collection. It was received warmly, but not exactly to the scale as she wanted, which is very normal in the beginning, but all of it can make you kind of recoil and double think a lot of things that you're doing. And so the steps that you have in dropping a clothing line are immense. Like, a lot of my videos recently are telling you that you can be a solopreneur, but along with not having like an actual physical team, all of that responsibility also lies on your shoulders. So that's the give and take of that. But what I would say as practical advice is, instead of dropping, let's say ambitiously, you want to do 12 drops. So you want to do a drop every single month. And that doesn't need to be like a whole collection or a whole outfit. It doesn't have to be like 3 shirts and a hat every single month. I would argue that's too much product unless you're a funded company that has some real assets to be able to move the product and you're partnered with some big people. If you're a small shoestring, I'm just trying to launch this kind of company, you should not launch 12 unless it's like 1 shirt every month. You don't need to do all that. You know, I would take all of that and say just do 4 drops. Do a spring, summer, fall, holiday. And you don't need to have it say it's a seasonal drop. You should just pick dates on the calendar, and instead of doing 12, do 4. Because the homework that's very difficult, that'll probably drive you crazy, is, as I've said recently, sales and marketing are put together with media. So your storytelling needs to be amazing, right? Like, that's the way people discover you. So think about the last time you found a really good clothing company or any kind of product or company that you eventually bought. Think about that. Someone told you about it, or maybe you did see an ad for it or something. But if someone told you about a clothing line, the first thing you're gonna do is get on your phone and look it up. That means all the visuals and all the media from social media or whatever you put on your e-com platform or your .com is going to be the first media that introduces them to your company. And so our big homework is having a content calendar to drop around your company and your product. That's a lot of work. So some of you didn't know that you're signing up for that, but nowadays, almost clothing or not, you're signing up to be a media company because you need to put unique images. And when I say media, I basically mean video. I do mean video and images, but we're talking about videos is a lot more difficult. I mean, your still images alone, if you're adding graphics to it, which I highly recommend you use Canva for, link below, to kind of put together and organize most of your content calendar you can do on Canva, except for the editing of video. So any of your short form content, like your 9:16, TikTok, Reels and Shorts, that's a lot. Even though they just need to be like anywhere from 10 seconds to 60 seconds initially, it can be a lot to think about all that content. But now you're a content creator where it's like, okay, I'm going to drop a beanie, you know, a beanie with a woven label. Let's do, you know, a campaign. We'll do a lifestyle shoot and then a product shoot with models, etc., etc. And then while you're shooting that, because you need to show it on the Instagram and for your e-com platform, like whether it's Shopify or Cash Drop or whatever, you know, you might as well shoot some video with it as well. So hopefully you could get 3 pieces of short form content out of it. And then maybe your model is a semi-influencer or a smaller influencer. Maybe you do also an interview with that, just to drop the beanie, and hopefully she's wearing a hat or a hoodie or something else that you're also dropping within the collection. But that is a lot of work. And then just trend forecasting, designing, and then making the beanie and the shirt or the hoodie. On top of it, you're a media company, which is a bigger part of the homework, I would argue. And so instead of doing 12, do 4, make it easier. If you're doing this and you're doing a job or any of it starts to feel super overwhelming, just back up and don't commit to all of that stuff. Hey guys, as I'm talking about this, just want to interject real quick and say Bella Canvas is a company that I love to use. And as we're talking about mental health, they do have a conscience as well. And so they're socially responsible when it comes to blanks. And that's something you don't usually think about, but all of the waste that they have from t-shirts that they cut, all of the material scraps, they repurpose them for other products. Also, in terms of being responsible, they are a strong USA company. They give literally thousands of jobs to Americans for their production, making some of the finest fleece and t-shirts that are on the market. And they opened up recently another location in Alabama, which is giving hundreds to maybe thousands of other jobs to Americans here. They try to do a lot of their production domestically. And one other point that I'm gonna give you guys, they literally have the most colors of any blank company out there, and I love that. For versatility, they have the fast fashion line. That's a 3rd or 4th thing, I don't even know. But lots of different reasons for you to try Bella Canvas. Go to Bella Canvas and you can actually test out some of their blanks. You don't need a wholesale permit. You could sign up for an account and try some of their blanks for your brand today. Clothing, which I've realized, and when I'm doing consulting, it turns me more into a counselor than it does like a clothing brand mentor, is people have this unreal or unrealistic idea that they need to put the stuff out immediately, and you don't. I think in your mind you're competing with like some big multi-million-dollar company that you probably love, you know, but no one is going to be Nike, or Gymshark overnight. Those are athletic companies. But enter your favorite competitor, like skate brand, streetwear brand, or high-end casual ready-to-wear brand, whatever that is. First of all, even if your company were to be a multi-million-dollar company, the end result of whatever that company is probably going to be a different version of whatever that is anyway. So if you're just starting now, or you're in the middle of it and you feel stuck, just pump the brakes a little bit and then do the right things, right? And so let me give you another example. This is why I want to make this video. At the moment that I'm shooting this, I'm not happy with my feeds for non-beta, right? So I'm not happy with the way the TikTok looks. I actually have a Twitter account and it's almost embarrassing to mention because there's like 2 posts on it, but I thought it was important to start that account. And obviously Instagram, it's not at the standard that I would tell you guys as an example of being like a clothing brand mentor. It's not where I want it to be. But as I'm saying this out loud to you, I'm okay with it because I have my limits. Because apart from running a clothing brand, running a whole program on the behind the scenes of how to drop it, so there are requirements and things that I need to shoot and take care of there. And then I have some of my regular content that I'm doing on my YouTube channel, right? And then I'm still gonna keep all of the content that I do just as like Jon Phenom and clothing brand mentor and sort of of the mini vlogs on my life, those are all content that's already getting made. So I'm double dutching non-beta stuff into the flow of an already very busy schedule, right? And so am I happy where that is? No, but the reason I bring it up is you need to figure out where you're gonna put whatever resource you have. I mean your time and energy, right? Your time and energy, where are you gonna put it into, right? And do it right. So if you're gonna have a lot of good media and content for the product you're gonna produce for your clothing line, do less of it, right? Because no one needs you to drop a 12-piece collection next month or next fall. No one needs that from you. You need to do it at your pace where you feel sane and you feel like you can breathe. And remember that you are doing this because it's partly your passion. And I would also say if it's not your passion and maybe you saw the money in it, this is the wrong industry for that. Seriously, go do something that's just an e-commerce play, because dealing with physical product where you're creating new styles and SKUs every month, that is not the business you want to be in. But I'm assuming if you're passionate about it, that this can be a good stress. So make sure it's good stress and not a bad stress. Slow down, do 4 drops, do 3 drops, do whatever it takes if you're doing a job at the same time. And this is a heartfelt one that I want to give to you guys, a mental health edition. And this is exactly what I told the person who consulted with me. Just slow it down, but do everything right for the smaller amount of apparel that you're gonna put out. Give me good media. Give me a good lifestyle shoot, which should be fun to get a friend to model and do that and put all of those assets together, right? So that when you get that first person, or the person gets their first look at the brand and looks at their first video about the brand, they get a really good impression. So when that person does a search and discovers you, that first impression, that first video or still image or graphic is really quality for them, right? Rather than you adding water to the soup and saying, oh, I just need to put out 12, and you get super tired and frustrated and you get less focused and less sharp on all of the things that you need to do, you know, to execute on all of the media and the designs and the production. There's a lot there. I mean, we didn't even talk about customer service. If someone gets a wrong order or needs a refund, that sort of thing. So you're running a business, do it one step at a time, slowly. Hope that helps. Any other questions you guys have, drop it all down below. I'll see you guys on the next one.